Imagine standing at the edge of the stones after 10 long years of heartache, battles, and impossible time travel, only to realize the final choice Jamie and Claire have to make isn't about surviving the past, but choosing where their souls truly belong. Outlander has put us through the emotional ringer for 8 breathtaking seasons, but the series finale delivers a climax so intense, so deeply personal, that it changes how we view every single choice they ever made since that fateful day at Crane Na Dun. This final hour isn't just another chapter in their story. It is the ultimate test of love across centuries, bringing every single storyline to a heart-wrenching and unforgettable end. The 10th episode of Season 8 opens with a crushing sense of finality hanging over Fraser's Ridge. The American Revolution has bled the land dry, leaving scars on everyone who called this sanctuary home. Jamie Fraser stands on the porch looking out over the misty hills, carrying the heavy weight of a man who has fought every war handed to him, yet knows his greatest battle has always been keeping his family together. Beside him, Claire looks older, wiser, but her eyes still burn with that fierce determination that brought her through the stones decades ago. The peace they fought so hard to build is fragile, shattered by the lingering chaos of war and the painful secrets that have finally caught up to them. Lord John Grey and William find themselves standing at a crossroads that tests every vow of loyalty they ever swore, forcing William to confront the truth of his bloodline in a moment that will forever alter his future. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a blade, because everyone watching knows that the safe harbor Jamie and Claire spent years constructing is about to face its final storm. The director uses long, sweeping shots of the ridge, visual callbacks to the sweeping landscapes of Scotland from Season 1, reminding us just how far these characters have traveled and how much they have sacrificed just to earn a single moment of quiet rest. As the final hour unfolds, the narrative shifts back to the mystical element that started this entire epic journey, the Standing Stones. For 8 seasons, time travel has been both a savior and a curse for the Fraser family, ripping them apart just as often as it brought them together. In this final episode, the rules of the stones are brought back into sharp focus as Brianna and Roger face an agonizing choice of their own. They must decide whether their children belong in the modern world, with all its safety and comfort, or in the wild, dangerous wilderness of the 18th century alongside Jamie and Claire. The emotional weight of this decision rests heavy on Roger's shoulders, mirroring the exact struggle Claire faced so many years ago. The script carefully balances these massive thematic questions with small, quiet character beats. We see stolen glances between Jamie and Claire, silent promises made in the dark, and subtle movements that say more than dialogue ever could. Every line spoken in this early part of the episode feels intentional, packed with 10 years of history. The writers don't rush the pacing, allowing the dread and anticipation to build slowly as the characters prepare for the ultimate confrontation that will determine if Fraser's Ridge survives or becomes nothing more than a memory fading into the pages of history. The choices made at the Standing Stones reverberate far beyond simple time travel, forcing a deep re-examination of what home really means for every member of the Fraser bloodline. As Roger and Brianna stand before the ancient markers, the bitter wind carries more than just cold air. It carries the overwhelming gravity of an irreversible decision. Returning to the future offers medicine, electricity, and a life free from the constant terror of disease or violent conflict. Yet it means tearing their children away from the living history and warmth of the family that built them. The raw emotion in this sequence hits like a freight train because we watch Roger wrestle with his identity, transforming from an academic lost in time into a fierce protector who realizes that true security isn't found in a specific century, but in the presence of the people you love. The camera lingers on the cold, weathered faces of the stones, creating a striking visual contrast between the eternal, unmoving granite and the fragile, fleeting nature of human life. This thematic tension reaches into every corner of the episode, proving that the real magic of their journey was never just the mystical pull of the gemstones, but the stubborn, indestructible human bonds that defied the laws of physics and nature itself. While Brianna and Roger face the future, Jamie and Claire are left to confront the lingering shadows of their past in a way that brings their entire journey full circle. The long-standing rift between Jamie and William finally reaches a quiet, devastating boiling point that relies on unspoken grief rather than loud confrontation. William, tormented by the truth of his parentage, stands face to face with the legendary Highlander, seeing not an enemy officer or a mythic figure, but a tired man whose blood runs through his own veins. Jamie chooses not to demand affection or recognition, offering instead a humble, respectful silence that allows William the dignity to process his own identity. This quiet restraint highlights Jamie's growth from a rash young warrior into a selfless patriarch who measures love by what he can give up rather than what he can claim. Claire watches this dynamic with the weary understanding of a doctor who knows some wounds cannot be bandaged, only given time to heal. The director uses soft, natural lighting and tight close-up shots to capture the flickers of doubt, regret, and ultimate acceptance passing across their faces, creating an atmosphere so intimate that the audience feels like an accidental intruder on a deeply private family tragedy. The emotional peak of this chapter centers on the profound realization of Jamie's ultimate fate and the mysterious, ghostly legacy that has hovered over the series since the very first episode. References to the misty streets of Inverness and the enigmatic figure watching Claire through the rain come rushing back with overwhelming clarity. The episode carefully weaves subtle visual callbacks, showing Jamie looking at Claire with that exact same timeless longing, suggesting that their connection is an immortal loop that death itself cannot break. Fraser's Ridge, once a bustling settlement filled with hope and sweat, becomes a sacred symbol of their shared resilience, a piece of land that captured their blood, tears, and happiest memories. As the final hours tick down, Jamie and Claire sit together in the fading daylight, their hands intertwined, silently acknowledging that every trial, every separation, and every war was merely a stepping stone, leading to this peaceful moment of complete unity. The dialogue remains sparse and simple, allowing the heavy emotional atmosphere and 10 years of built-up character history to carry the full weight of the scene, leaving the audience breathless as the narrative steadily approaches its ultimate, inescapable conclusion. As twilight deepens over the ridge, the narrative pivots to the profound, unspoken pact between Jamie and Claire, a moment that redefines the very concept of a soulmate in television history. The camera pulls back to reveal the quiet stillness of their home, where the silence speaks louder than any dramatic speech ever could. Claire, sitting beside Jamie on the wooden porch, gently traces the lines on his weathered hands that have fought wars, built a sanctuary from nothing, and held her through centuries of chaos. There is a chilling, beautiful acceptance in their eyes as they realize that the grand storm of their lives has finally settled into an enduring calm. The direction in this sequence is masterfully restrained, choosing to focus on the small, human details, the crackle of the dying hearth fire, the soft murmur of the wind through the Carolina pines, and the steady beat of two hearts that have defied time itself. It is a striking visual contrast to the action-packed battles of earlier seasons, proving that the ultimate climax of this grand story isn't found in a clash of swords or a dramatic voyage, but in the quiet, absolute certainty that they have survived everything the world could throw at them. Meanwhile, the lingering threads of the Grey and Fraser legacies undergo a quiet transformation that redefines the true meaning of family. Lord John Grey, a character who has carried the heavy burden of unrequited love and secret loyalties for decades, finds a peaceful resolution in his dynamic with Jamie and Claire. The dialogue between Lord John and Jamie is remarkably simple, yet deeply charged with mutual respect, shedding the polite, aristocratic masks they have worn for years to reveal to men who have loved the same family in completely different ways. William, standing at the edge of the property, looks back at the ridge one last time, his stance no longer rigid with anger or confusion, but relaxed with a newfound understanding of his complex roots. The script cleverly avoids neat, fairy tale endings for these secondary characters, choosing instead to offer realistic, bittersweet closure. William doesn't instantly become a Highlander, nor does Lord John erase his past, but both men walk away transformed by the honesty they were finally allowed to share. The visual storytelling shines here as the golden hour light fades into deep indigo, symbolically closing the chapter on their bitter feuds and leaving behind a sense of quiet grace. The thematic pulse of this section reaches its highest frequency as the narrative addresses the concept of legacy and what remains when the smoke clears. Fraser's Ridge is no longer just a physical location on a map. It has evolved into a living monument to human endurance, hope, and love. The episode gently weaves in faint audio motifs from the original Skyboat song, sending an immediate wave of nostalgia through the viewer that connects this final art directly to the pilot episode. We see subtle visual nods to their early days in Scotland, the way Jamie wraps his plaid, the specific look in Claire's eyes when she cures a patient with her modern knowledge, and the enduring warmth of their connection amidst a world rapidly changing around them. As night fully falls, Jamie and Claire stand together under the wide, starry sky, completely at peace with whatever the future holds. They have built a haven that will outlast them, raised children who carry their strength into new centuries, and proven that love can indeed bridge any physical or temporal divide. The scene leaves the audience suspended in a moment of pure, cinematic magic, setting the stage for the final, emotional farewell that will close the book on this legendary saga forever. When the final frames of this extraordinary epic begin to fade, we are left with an overwhelming realization of what Outlander has truly been about all along, not just the impossibility of time travel, but the enduring power of unconditional love. As the morning sun rises one last time over the quiet peaks of Fraser's Ridge, the golden light bathes the landscape in a soft, ethereal glow, creating a striking contrast to the dark, uncertain paths Jamie and Claire have walked for over 10 years. There are no sudden twists, no artificial shock values, and no last-minute cheap gimmicks in these closing moments. Instead, the narrative grants these iconic characters the highest reward they could ever ask for: a peaceful, undisturbed breath in each other's arms. The visual direction drops all chaotic camera movements, holding long, lingering shots on their faces as they look toward the horizon. It is a stunning visual poetry that directly echoes the very beginning of their story, making the entire 8-season journey feel like a perfectly completed circle. The emotional weight of this final farewell comes from its absolute, beautiful simplicity. Sitting together on the porch, wrapped in a single woolen blanket against the morning chill, Jamie and Claire speak in quiet, affectionate whispers that feel almost too personal for us to overhear. Jamie looks at Claire with the exact same awe and devotion that he showed when he first fell in love with his Sassenach in the Highlands of Scotland, while Claire rests her head against his shoulder with the deep, unbroken trust of a woman who traversed centuries just to be by his side. They reflect on the ghosts of their past, the friends lost in battle, the homes burned to ash, and the painful separations that nearly broke them, and they realize that every single tear was worth the home they built together. The script keeps their words minimal, allowing the sheer emotional history between actors Sam Heughan and Katrina Balfe to carry the scene. Their performance in this quiet finale serves as a masterclass in screenwriting and acting, proving that true dramatic power lies in sincere human connection. As the music swells into the iconic, haunting melodies that have accompanied their journey since day one, the camera slowly pulls back from the ridge, rising high above the trees into the clear blue sky. We see the home they built, the land they worked, and the quiet mountain trails stretching out toward the standing stones in the far distance, symbolizing that while their physical story may end here, their legacy is written permanently into the fabric of time itself. Fraser's Ridge remains as a testament to two ordinary souls who conquered extraordinary odds, showing us that true love isn't defined by the century you were born in, but by the person you choose to stand beside when the world falls apart. As the image slowly transitions to a warm, silent black screen, Viewers are left with a profound sense of closure, nostalgia, and deep satisfaction. Outlander delivers an ending that doesn't just explain the fate of its characters, but honors the deep emotional investment of millions of fans worldwide, bringing a legendary television masterpiece to its perfect, unforgettable end.